There are perhaps thousands of videos and other multimedia presentations on the mysteries of the Shemitah, a period of holy observance that runs in 7-year cycles according to ancient Jewish customs. However, most, if not all, such productions are exclusively focused on the impact it has for America. This, of course, is understandable from a geopolitical perspective. After all, who else but the United States has a leverage to affect the rest of the world? Whatever happens to America will inevitably reverberate across universal channels. But is this necessarily true? Is chaos theory, or the idea that the flapping of a butterfly's wings in one part of the globe setting off a chain reaction of events thousands of miles away, more or less relevant in today's interconnected ecosystem? The answer may be surprising, if only for the fact that very few people are willing to engage in pertinent analysis rather than succumbing to the temptation of low-hanging fruit. If we are to take the theory seriously that the Shemitah is a harbinger of economic calamity, we should then ask ourselves if the so-called Shemitah cycle affects international stock markets the way it apparently does for US indices such as the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500. To answer this question, we will travel to the island nation of Japan, which for several decades had the #2 economy in the world, and at one point in the late 1980s, the Tokyo stock market was the largest in the world on the basis of market capitalization. We will then apply quantifiable methodologies to determine if there are any statistical aberrations in Japanese financial market performance during the Shemitah cycle, which would then clue us into the potential validity of this ancient barometer. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn, perhaps the foremost authority on the Shemitah, which in Hebrew means remission or release, has stated that social and economic crises tend to proliferate during Shemitah years. The global financial collapse of 2008 and the terrorist attacks of 9/11 points towards the apparent accuracy of this barometer. But why does an ancient tradition carry so much weight in today's society? The answer is found in the Old Testament in the book of Deuteronomy, which states that the Shemitah year will be a period where all debts are literally released. Rabbi Cahn interprets this to claim that financial valuations as represented by the US stock market will be swept away. If so, we should see a noticeable decline in international market performance during Shemitah year, since the US is typically the biggest trading partner to every major economic power. Certainly this would be the case for Japan, whose economy would be hard-pressed to survive without its partnership with America. But when we measure Japan's financial market strength between 1959 and 2014 for the Shemitah and the 6 years outside of the Jewish customary period, we find something completely unexpected. The weakest year in Japanese markets is the first year in front of the Shemitah. All the other years post fairly strong numbers, including the Shemitah year, which historically is the third strongest year, and by an extremely close margin. In fact, prior to 9/11, the Shemitah year in Japan had an average annual aggregate performance of nearly 33%. It wasn't until 9/11 and the 2008 crisis that Japanese markets aligned with the timing of the Shemitah's harbinger. It is still interesting to note, though, that similar to the US markets, the Japanese markets feature one cycle in the red, which is completely aberrant from the 6 other cycles. While this does not conclusively prove that the forecasting power of the Shemitah is authentic, it lends further support that unusual patterns, regardless of their origins, tend to culminate in the Shemitah year, and at the very least deserve some consideration as we head towards the end of 2015. Stop taking blind swings at the market and instead receive the best stock ideas with the highest probability of success. At Bullish Money, we want to put more cash in your stash using scientific algorithms. No opinions, no interpretations, no nonsense, just straight facts. To get started today, subscribe to the Bullish Money YouTube channel and get actionable stock ideas right to your inbox.